before we jump to the interesting part of the presentation, which will be Marie-Noëlle, quick updates on global talent trends in tech ops right now. We're at a pivotal moment. This has not happened in 25 years. 8 of the 16 EVPs in the 16 largest biopharma companies have been enrolled for more than 8 years, which means there is inevitably going to be an accelerated transition of leaders to the top of the house. And that's going to create a domino effect amongst leadership and SVPs getting promoted to the top job, which is interesting. What are the demographic trend that we're seeing right now? There are, I should say this. This is representing the 134 people reporting into the 16 EVPs, those who were appointed in the last little while. 50% women, from 30% in the past. The concerning thought that they're still getting up there at a later stage than before, which means that demographic generational gap continues to advance through the industry. One that interests me a lot towards the bottom there is the fact that global experience is now a non-negotiable, and see how experience with drug substance has quadrupled in terms of the demand of experience that some people have had. So we no longer are putting people in those roles that have just drug product experience, or a lot less, if that makes any sense. We see a big change in the way, this is across industry, the way leaders are valued, or who is creating value in the marketplace. We used to look at the steady, strategic, longer-term decision-making based on data that was stable and reliable. That used to be the world that was valued. And we all got in the last year in the place of cross-industry again, slight panic. Everything changes all the time. And this week you should turn left, next week you should turn right. And now leaders, what we're calling anchored leaders, are rationally understanding that they need to operate at 2 speeds and they need to adjust. So if in the past it was a straight arrow towards the top in a strategically reliable way, a panic for a period of time, now it's adjusting constantly, but going in that direction with defining the North Star. That's what we see across industries as the people delivering the best results. All of this just reaffirms the need for accelerating some of the leaders in the industry to be prepared faster for senior roles. We're going to be holding the 3rd version of our Tech Ops Leadership Accelerator program, and it's going to be held this year in Quebec City at Le Château Frontenac, for those who haven't seen it, which is roughly 1,000 yards from where I grew up, and which is a lovely place. And we have an amazing faculty that's going to be joining us, and that's going to be helping your teams. What's interesting is when we launched this in year 1, 2 years ago, I think we came to the conference with 2 or 3 pre-registered participants. We never have more than 24 people join this program so that we can create the cohesive group learning environment. Today, as we launch today, there's 17 pre-registered. There's only 7 seats that are going to be available this year. So if you have interest in developing or accelerating your talent or yourselves in the industry, this is the place to be and the place to go. Now, last year, by popular demand, we were asked if we could bring leadership perspectives from a different industry. Last year, we talked about Formula One and the universe of Formula One and how disruptive technologies impacted the Alpine Formula One team under the leadership of Laurent Rossi. And through his years, the team went from 10th to 3rd in the grid, and he left for reasons we discussed last year, which I sort of did not tell him in advance. I was going to ask him the question, so that was highly entertaining to see him squirm that way. I've also helped Marie-Noëlle prepare for a series of questions, none of which I will ask today, so we're going to keep her
but
on
I'm
her
ready
feet.
for it.
But so I was also told that some people might not know Le Cirque du Soleil, so let's see if we can get this to work. Now you know what it is, if you didn't know before.
Can
All right.
I just say that I really love to see all your smiles. So it gives me the pure joy.
Okay, Marie-Noëlle, Chris was asking me earlier if I was going to ask you to draw a parallel between clowns and scientists, and I think that's not a good idea, so we're not going to go there. But why don't we start from the beginning? Who are you, really?
Yeah, Marie-Noëlle Gagnon. I work for Cirque du Soleil, and I do not fly on trapeze. I don't walk on...
You're not one of them?
No, I'm not one of them. Nope. I'm the Chief Talent Officer. And actually, I've been working for Cirque for 5 years. But here's the interesting part. I joined Cirque du Soleil 3 weeks before the pandemic. 3 weeks before we had to actually close 43 shows, let go 95% of our people, send home 1,500 performers that were spread across the world. And by the way, we were losing more than 100 million a month. So Cirque survival was at risk.
That must have been a terrifying moment. And you must have loved the fact that you decided to join 3 weeks before.
Well, you know when we say timing is everything?
Yeah.
Timing was everything. So, you know, it's such a great learning opportunity, and I would love to actually get all your questions. I know that we will be answering probably a lot of questions that you might have, but if there is any other questions, please do ask. I will never say no to any opportunity to actually help you guys. So.
Why? So, 1 second. 3 weeks before, and just so you know, this industry, I don't know if you know this industry at all, but this industry never runs into financing problems.
I know, it's very unique at Cirque, I get it.
How does one lead in a context of your business is show business, your people are artists, and then suddenly you have to close everything down? Like, what were you thinking as a leader going through this? You must have joined for different reasons than what you actually faced.
Of course, right? Because when I joined for what you just saw, right? Isn't it beautiful? But then when everything collapsed, it's like, okay, I've said a couple of words that I will not be repeating here, obviously. And then I was like, okay, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? And this is where I had the chance to rebuild the team. But during the whole crisis, we needed to be clear on what is our true north. How are we going to be bringing back all these shows whilst keeping safety as the #1 priority? Very important. But by the way, Pascal, don't you think that maybe some of our people are wondering, why is she attending the...
I'm wondering myself.
Right? Why? Like, we're talking about Cirque du Soleil, live entertainment, and last time I checked, it was a biomanufacturing conference.
Yes, what are you doing here?
What I'm doing here, right? Anyone wants to try why I'm here? Ah?
That's Tim Moore, if you need to exact vengeance later.
It's always about the people. Business is people. But they're one of the reasons why I'm here, and there are many reasons, but I would say, #1, I've worked for 10 years with an artist. So, and I would say this industry, pharma industry, gave me so much and basically shaped the leader that I am today. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to be giving back to this great industry, and at the same time, I'll never say no to meet super talent. And I was just thinking about the previous Fire Chat side, when actually I left with 2 key messages for the time that I saw it. First, diversify your supply chain, diversify your team, right? And then surround yourself with people smarter. That's important. So that's the beauty actually of working for HR. You can work across industries, pharma, live entertainment. So that's why I'm here today.
What, the Cirque announced something yesterday. What was it?
Oh, okay. Okay, that's the track.
She worked at Novartis, by the way, for 10 years. If you didn't
yes.
get that part, so she's an insider.
Right.
But go.
Yeah. So actually, yesterday we announced that at Cirque we have a new CEO. So we're welcoming a new CEO. He will be starting next week. A change of guard.
A change of the guard.
Change of the guard.
So you experienced the founder leadership to the I don't know what to call it else, but we would call it at Russell Reynolds the professional manager, as opposed to founder leadership, which is two different. What were you looking for?
In our new CEO? So we were looking, so I'm a strong believer that you need to have the right leader for the right mandate at the right time for the right period. So with Cirque, we needed to have someone, a strong captain on board to navigate through the whole pandemic. So we had our seasoned CEO, Daniel Lamar. Then after, to relaunch all the shows, putting the Cirque back on track financially. And then we changed the CEO, we had a new one. And now we're getting into the growth phase. So we need to de-risk the business. We need to look at new growth vectors, new growth engines. So we were looking for someone who has international experience, leadership posture across the globe, someone who also had experience working with private equities, someone who had experience also with creation, production, ticket sales. But creativity here is key.
What is the parallels you draw between the creative spark at Le Cirque and a creative spark in science, which is necessary for all of us to exist?
You know, there is a quote that I really like, and it's from Einstein, and it says, creativity is intelligence having fun. And when you look at the previous video, my mind went through very specific, was caught by very specific words that I would say can apply to pharma and live entertainment. You are disruptors also. You want to, I'm coming from a place of, when I was working in pharma, I was curing the body. Now I'm curing the soul. So we want to leave our people in a better shape than how we found them. Creativity is actually the reason why Cirque survived, right? And we need to reinvent ourselves all the time. And I believe that's the same also for biotech. You need to reinvent yourself, you need to be creative, and it's creativity, you need to leave space for creativity. So how do you do that?
What are the business impediments then at Le Cirque? Like, what in our world, regulators, for example, have to protect the patient ultimately and protect us, the manufacturers as well. But in a business like yours, what are the impediments to growth or to success?
Competition, right? We need to reinvent ourselves. We need to de-risk Cirque. We need to, right now we are pretty much 100% live entertainment, right? So for business survival, we needed to have new growth vectors. And we need to be creative. And the reason why Cirque survived is because of creativity. We needed to put in place new business. We needed to increase our reach. So we have new business engines right now.
Your own leadership evolution through your years at Novartis, what did you bring from Novartis to the Cirque?
Yeah, that's a good one. So when I think about my journey at Novartis, I moved from being in a local role. Then when I moved to Europe in London, then I had a regional role. And then after that, I moved to Basel to have a global role. So I really learned how to be a leader across multiple countries, appreciating different cultures. But at the same time, business is people, right? So with pharma, I really thought, okay, that taught me how to think outside the box, right? Pharma invests a lot in their people. And what I brought to the live entertainment, because of all the knowledge, the agility, being able to switch gear rapidly, at Cirque, I was not only able to think outside the box, I was able to blow up the box. Post-pandemic, we needed to rebuild an entire company. And I had to rebuild the talent function. And maybe this is also something that you had to do as a leader, some of you, to completely rebuild your team, knowing that now the old playbook doesn't work anymore. The world has changed. Employees' expectations have completely changed.
What are you naturally strong at as a leader? What will Daniel, the outgoing CEO, for example, knows you very well, or the board knows you very well now. What would they say if we, surprise, they're all on screen now. We're going to ask them. What would they say about you as a leader, as your strengths?
Communication. I think I'm able to infuse energy, gather people around a common goal. And I think I'm pretty good at detecting the right talent, like to bring cohesion. I don't have any ego. I don't have ego. I really want people around me shining. Yeah, I really believe that actually success is a sport team, right?
A team sport.
Team sport, thank you. That's the French-Canadian thing.
We typically do this in French, by the way, which is a little awkward in English. We haven't prepared it in English. We should have. Let's open up to some questions from the crowd. Rob, always first question, Rob.
Good.
Classic. They were not ready at the back because we were throwing curveball at them now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to envision you as a talent officer trying to put together the team, which means you're going to have leaders, you're going to have followers, and you're also going to have people that know how to adapt. It's such a tremendous experience to watch the show, and as you said, it does great things for the soul. But I look at you trying to find a way to transform that through human beings. So we all enjoy this, but when you look at people and have to look at them both physically and mentally and how they participate then in developing their role on a team to support the outcome of the show, I mean, how do you figure out your organizational chart in terms of what you need? Because you've got mental and physical demands of putting on that show that many days a week. They don't know if many people understand that. Mm-hmm. And they have to be, some have to be tougher than others just to be able to show up because they're the leaders. So I know it's a long question, but is that kind of the process you have to go through when you say you're pretty good at finding talent, but it's got to be, it's really putting the team together for something that's sustainable. Is that correct? And how do you do it?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Rob. Very good question. I need to rely on exceptional leaders. And we have the concept of team of teams, right? So if I just break down a little bit your question, when we think about the artists, well, the artist will be surrounded by performance medicine, physiotherapists. We will be making sure that every day they're okay to perform, right? We're talking about human performance as its best. We want to make sure that mentally they're all good. So with our artists, before every single show, there is a check-in. How are you? Are you okay? No risk. We also have a very strong health and safety culture. What I mean by that is the worst enemy of health and safety is silence. So we want to make sure that our people speak up. So we have a speak up culture. And we do report on a quarterly basis to the board all our health and safety KPIs. So it's very important. Then after, the way we rebuild all the teams that support cast crew, because also we have fantastic technicians that also are there to support artists and the show. So we hired people from different industries, right? So the beauty of having multiple talents coming from, yes, the live entertainment, but also other industries coming all together. This is how the magic happened. Having multiple talents coming from different industry, health and safety first, check-in, speak-up culture, courage to make bold decisions also. It's a long answer also to your question.
What are the key value driving roles at the Cirque? Like in pharma manufacturing, every role is important. Yeah. But there's some that are like they can't fail. That person has to be successful, otherwise the whole organization is in trouble. What's the key value driving roles in your business?
Health and safety. So we do have our riggers, as an example, supporting the artists when they are up in the air. Also, we have our company managers on show that are making sure that the microculture is healthy. So nothing is worse than a toxic culture. And we do have very strong value at Cirque that applies to everyone. So we're talking about here inclusion. Everybody has a place at Cirque, especially when we work with multiple nationalities all together, right? So inclusion, belonging, extremely important. And then we have collaboration also. And there is another thing, which is always having the mind of continuous improvement.
Yep. Last year, one thing that surprised me that Laurent said was that, you know how when you hear the pilot on the radio during the race, have a discussion about whether it's time to box or whether it's time to, and for some reason I thought the pilot was the ultimate decision maker, and what Laurent shared with us is like, no, that's one of the 8 or 15 data points, and then we decide and tell the pilot what to do, and this is all fed into the factory live so that the right decision is made. How is the structure of power and of decision making structured at the Cirque that you think could be useful to bring back to the industry?
It's all about empowerment of our first line managers. So, I was talking about team of teams, right? So you need to think about a soccer team, right? So when you have your soccer team, you know that the end goal is to win the match. But on the pitch, you have players, they know what to do. They know what's the end game, they know what they have to do, but they're not relying to the coach to say, okay, this is what you need to do to get to the score. So they know what they have to do without the coach having to tell them. So that's pretty much the principle that we also have at Cirque. So we are empowering managers to make decisions at their level. So it's freedom in a framework. So it's very clear, and it's a very agile also, because speed is of the essence. So we cannot waste multiple hours or days or months before a decision is taken. So it's all about empowering your managers. And how do you empower your manager? It's to be clear on what do you expect, what is the framework, what is in scope for the decision, what is out of scope. And I would say your people, they don't need certainty, they need clarity. They have to be clear on what they have to do, how to do it, and be there to support them.
Is there another question in the room?
Thank you. Despite the earlier joke, I actually think this is a really interesting analogy between the two realities. And I think everybody wants to believe that they're a creative person, and I think it's really important for fulfillment that we are able to experience that just like in our general lives. But I find that most corporate roles, especially at the individual contributor level, they don't encourage that creativity. And so I'm curious, somebody who's seen both sides, how would you encourage business leaders to promote that for individual contributors so that they could fulfill themselves in their lives, but also in their career?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. First, I have to say, as a starter, as a leader, you need to believe that creativity can be a game changer. So it starts with, do you believe in it? Sometimes we also believe that creativity is something that is super difficult, and we're thinking about reinventing almost the iPhone. Or actually, we can keep creativity very simple. There is beauty in simplicity. So in the corporate world, as an example, for the talent team, I had to rebuild the talent team with 60% less people. So we need to rethink how our talent will be servicing and will be partnering with the overall organization when you have pretty much the same number of people and the same number of shows. And you need to leave room for creativity. Creativity needs oxygen. So as leaders, or if at your next team meeting, how about having a conversation? How in your schedule can you leave time for creativity? So as a very concrete example, what I've done in my own team, every Friday afternoon from 2 o'clock to 5, 6, whenever, it's creativity time. I've committed that I will never be booking any meetings on Friday afternoon after 2 o'clock, unless there is something specific that needs to address. So creativity needs oxygen. And I do personally believe that organizations can benefit from more creativity. Does that answer your question? Gives you some? You're welcome.
Hi there. This is a question about playbooks, because you said when you joined Cirque, you kind of blew up the playbook. Within pharma and in Novartis, I'm sure playbooks would have been in place for years, possibly decades, and you would have learned to iterate on them. So how did you approach the rebuild of the Cirque playbook opposed to an iteration of what had been before?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And when you think about the playbook, right, we're talking about return to office, we're talking about spending like the whole thing. I would say this is the beauty of working for an organization that values so much creation. I've tried models that didn't work, and it was okay. So that's what I call the organizational forgiveness. And when I compare it to my time at Novartis, which is a company that I have the utmost respect, sometimes I felt that things were a bit already baked in. There's not much freedom, but it starts from the top, right? And again, I've left Novartis a couple of years ago, so maybe things have changed. So I would really invite business leaders, starting at the very top. How can we give a little bit more freedom, keep things simple? And again, I know I said it already, but I'm going to say it again. There is beauty in simplicity. And with Cirque, the reality is the overall budget was very different than HR budget on the pharma side. So I really need to rely on our people. It's the bottom up. And you know, when you surround people with people that are smarter than you, that's spectacular what can happen. So I would definitely invite you, the boss, to maybe a little bit less rigidity.
Whatever. Rigidité.
Rigidité.
They know what you were saying.
There we go. You know what we mean. So be more flexible. There we go. More flexible, a bit more open-minded. And it doesn't take millions of dollars to do that. It just takes the willingness to do things differently. Thank you.
Oh, hi. I might probably be the only circus performer and person that is biomanufacturing here. My question was kind of about talent retention as well as career progression. And as a performer, you generally kind of specialize in one or two apparatuses, but then it's kind of similar, I think, to having, say, a technician, and you need a lot of technicians at Cirque. So how do you think about retaining talent that is highly specialized, and how do you help them grow in their career, because they're very often limited by the one or two things that they're very good at?
Very good question. Thank you. Actually, we have a say at Cirque that everything is possible. So let me start with that. So an artist, just so you know, we do have artists that are ex-Olympians. So actually, being an artist of Cirque du Soleil is a second career as a get-go. Then after, as an artist, you can become eventually a coach. You can switch on the artistic side also. And when we do have artists that are injured, we have at some point a light duty program to help them maybe looking at other opportunities. So there's options. Technicians, then you can actually move into more of the corporate ladder, like a head technician. We really encourage people to learn by doing and experimenting something different, right? Something that I say quite often also is, you perform in your comfort zone, but you actually grow outside of it. So how can you enable these growth opportunities? So it's all about providing opportunities. Sometimes it's something like the artists or the technicians come forward with, right? I'm all about, you need to take ownership of your career. And if you're expecting the employer to come up and draw your old career path, you'll be waiting for a very long time. Like, you need to really take ownership of your career. So I think I addressed the performance technician part. Was there a second part of your question? I'm sorry. I think I might have answered half of your question.
Yeah, I think that was mostly it. It was about retaining talent as well as helping develop their careers, given the very specialized roles. So, yeah.
Any further questions? Oh, back to Rob.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Real simple question. How are new, do you call them scenes? When we watch the whole show, are they individual scenes, or what do you call?
Like the different acts?
Yeah,
different.
What's the process? that because as you're looking at talent and as you're trying to instill creativity, you must be getting ideas all the time for different acts and different this and different that. And then the other thing, just like in Formula One racing, there has to be a lot of trust on the engineers that when they put something together, the people using these apparatus that are jumping on something have complete faith that that thing is going to be the same way each night and so on. Am I correct in saying that? That's part of it also in terms of part of the team trust. But going back to what's the process by which a new scene is created?
Good. So when we create a new show, you have 3 key roles. You have the show director, you have the creation director, and the production director. These are the 3 roles. These are the 3 masterminds, and you have a whole team behind it. So then you have what's going to be the storyline, and then they get into the whole production mode. But a good show starts with a good pitch. What are we trying to achieve? Are we doing a show with a partner? Because this is also the way forward, right? We are doing more and more shows in partnership with another partner. So sometimes we have standalone, we have events, but we can do a partnership with, is it Live Nation? Is it like we will be next week on November 20th. We're gonna have our brand new show, our first resident shows in Europe. It's called Alizé in Berlin, partnership with Live Nation. So we do partnerships. There's a whole team. And actually, you know what? I want to go back to your question on creativity in the business. I would like to invite all of you, if it's possible, and push a little bit. Something that can help enabling creation, it's super simple. When you do have team meetings and conference room, how about having a circle table instead of square? This is what we have at Cirque du Soleil. When we talk about creation, when we do have team meetings, we rally around a round table, not rectangle.
So there's no one at the head of the table.
There we go.
There's no.
Yeah.
So
It's
every
a
voice
team.
matters.
And a good idea is a good idea, independently of from whom it's coming from.
A lot of us in this room have boards that are where one of the investors, the private equity firm, for example, is represented on the board, and there's pressure on delivering results. Is there that kind of pressure at Cirque?
Oh, yes.
To deliver financial results, I mean.
The pressure is on all the time, all the time. We just went through a couple of restructurings, right? But I'm saying that, and recently I came across a very good article, and we can say a lot of things about the private equities, and we all have probably our own opinions and our own experience. But I have to say they're good to PE's ownership. I mean, they keep us on our toes, and they push up to rethink the way we were structured, right? So, and maybe if we wouldn't have had this pressure, maybe we would not have done all the different changes immediately. So but it comes with super big pressure, right? It's numbers, profitability. It's their own money at the same time. So, but we're lucky. We do have very strong PEs at Cirque du Soleil. So we're backed with PEs that absolutely love Cirque. They are strong partners. They are very, very present. Very.
Thank you. Leadership perspectives from outside the industry, always helpful.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
That's great.